¿Has escuchado hablar del Fascia Blaster? Este aparato que tengo en la mano. Bueno, dicen que te quita la celulitis, la grasa, los rollos y hasta las arrugas. Hoy hablamos con su creadora, Ashley Black. No te pierdas esta entrevista. Te saluda Cecilia Ramírez Harris y este es mi podcast Salud Radiante con Cecilia. Aquí encontrarás entrevistas, noticias, consejos y mucha motivación para tener una vida sana. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Aquí estoy abriendo un regalo que me hizo Ashley Black. Un Fascia Blaster, uno de los últimos que ella inventó, porque ella ha hecho varios. Este se llama Mini Paddle Blaster. Y si tú quieres saber cómo se usa, qué hace este Fascia Blaster y todos los que ella ha inventado, pues te invito a ver la entrevista que vamos a poner a continuación. Esta entrevista la hicimos hace algunos meses con ella, con Ashley Black, la creadora de esta maravilla. Pero está en inglés y muchas personas no pudieron poner bien los subtítulos en español. Por eso queremos volvérselas a presentar ya ahora con todos los subtítulos para que ustedes no se pierdan esta información. Y antes de irme y de que comience la entrevista, quiero decirles que aquí en la descripción pueden conseguir el código especial si están interesados en adquirir el Fascia Blaster. ¿Pero por qué les digo esto? Porque ustedes van a tener un descuento muy especial. Así que bueno, disfruten la entrevista y nos vemos pronto. Welcome to the episode number 15 of my interviews for my podcast, Salud Radiante con Cecilia. Our guest today is a super special woman for her personality, her entrepreneurial capacity, to the point that she was just awarded with the Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 for the health and beauty by the American Business Association. Her name is Ashley Black, inventor of the Fascia Blaster, a myofascial tool that has become quite a phenomenon. She's also the #1 best-selling author of her book, The Myth of Cellulite, and she's one of the most watched TED speakers. But let me tell you a little bit about her story, which is part of the whole thing, because if I don't tell you her story, then you will not really understand how this whole thing happened, okay? So, bear with me, I have a lot of notes here, okay? She was born in a small town in Alabama in 1973. At your age, she was diagnosed with an aggressive form of juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. She spent her youth in and out doctor's offices and was told she would need a wheelchair at the age of 25. But determined that this would not be her fate, she developed her own mechanisms to control her flare-ups and manage pain. She started to stop taking their medications in her teens and always knew there was a better way. Ashley developed a love for sport and became a competitive athlete by the age of 20, and she was teaching 20 fitness classes a week. But she got stricken with a bacteria that made her undergo multiple surgeries. But after overcoming, and she will tell us more about this, and surviving this terrible bacteria, she began to study anatomy and develop techniques that help herself and began to work with other people, including athletes. So she can tell her story. Let's welcome Ashley Black speakers. She was tan pronto. Te saluda Cecilia Ramírez Harris y este es mi podcast Salud Radiante con Cecilia. Aquí encontrarás entrevistas, noticias, consejos y mucha motivación para tener una vida sana. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Bienvenidos al episodio número 15 de mis entrevistas en Salud Radiante con Cecilia. Hoy vamos a tener una entrevista un poco diferente, ya que la haremos en inglés. Pero no se preocupen si se sienten ustedes más cómodos con el español. Tan pronto como terminemos esta transmisión en vivo, ustedes van a poder ver en YouTube la traducción simultánea al español. Así que vamos a comenzar ya de una vez con el inglés. Welcome to the episode number 15 of my interviews for my podcast, Salud Radiante con Cecilia. Our guest today is a super special woman for her personality, her entrepreneurial capacity to the point that she was just awarded with the Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 for the health and beauty by the American Business Association. Her name is Ashley Black, inventor of the Fascia Blaster, a myofascial tool that has become quite a phenomenon. She's also the #1 best-selling author of her book, the Myth of Cellulite, and she's one of the most watched TED speakers. But let me tell you a little bit about her story, which is part of the whole thing, because if I don't tell you her story, then you will not really understand how this whole thing happened, okay? So, bear with me, I have a lot of notes here, okay? She was born in a small town in Alabama in 1973. At your age, she was diagnosed with an aggressive form of juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. She spent her youth in and out doctor's offices and was told she would need a wheelchair at the age of 25. But determined that this will not be her fate, she developed her own mechanisms to control her flare-ups and manage pain. She started to stop taking their medications in her teens and always knew there was a better way. Ashley developed a love for sport and became a competitive athlete by the age of 20, and she was teaching 20 fitness classes a week, but she got stricken with a bacteria that made her undergo multiple surgeries. But after overcoming, and she will tell us more about this, and surviving this terrible bacteria, she began to study anatomy and develop techniques that help herself and began to work with other people, including athletes. So she can tell her story. Let's welcome Ashley Black to Salud Radiante con Cecilia. And Ashley, tell me, how was that introduction?
Muy buena.
Gracias. I'm sure your Spanish is better than my English.
Well, I'll do my Spanish. Yo vivo aquí en Tamarindo, Costa Rica. I've been here since COVID, and now that I'm here, I don't think I'm going to leave. So I am learning my Spanish, pero es muy difícil para mí porque soy un viejo.
Okay, so let's speak English then. No, it's very, I wanted to tell the story how we met.
Great story, Cecilia. It's really more of like a heart story for me because, we had an interview and we can talk about the formality of it, but the minute I met you, I just felt like we were, connected in some sense, and I still feel that way, and I get excited when I see you text me. So it's sometimes you're just energetically meant to know someone, and that's what Cecilia is for me.
I feel the same way. I think that was like a magic moment when we met. And I would like to tell our viewers and the people that is connected at this moment that the reason I went to interview you in your house in Texas is because all of a sudden I started hearing people talking about the Fascia Blaster. And I didn't know what it was. And then people in my family, my sister and my niece, started telling me that they were using it and that they were getting amazing results with the cellulite. And I was like, is that true? And as an investigative reporter and journalist, you always, kind of try to look for, is that really working? Let me take a look. So I remember I bought for myself the first one you had, the one that had the three big, I still have it, of course. Mm-hmm. And to try it for me. And when I bought it, I got invited to join your groups in Facebook. And when I saw the results and all the pictures and all the before and afters that you had in the groups, I say, no way. This cannot be fake. This cannot, there's something here. And I remember I called you and I told you I want to interview you. And the next week I was at your house. And this has been magic since then because we've been in touch and you always supporting me. And I feel really blessed to have you as a friend. And because also, as I said in the beginning, you are a superwoman. You're a woman that for us, the rest of women, you are an amazing example of a person who overcame not only the physical pain and problems that you had in your health, but you're also an amazing businesswoman. I mean, to be awarded with this amazing entrepreneur of the year,
yeah,
for the American Association of Businesses is really a big deal.
That's pretty big. It's funny because, I've actually been here on and off for 3 years, so I've kind of gotten into the pura vida. And I remember it was just as simple as an email that came across that was like, congratulations, you're Entrepreneur of the Year for the whole category of health and beauty. And I kind of went, oh, that's cool. But for me, I don't know, the awards are just, it's just validation for my work. But I definitely get more excited, just like you, when I go in the Facebook group and people say, thank you, Ashley, so much. I had just kind of given up on my body, not only, cellulite and turkey neck and things that us women get together and talk about, but it really does, if you understand how it works, it changes your whole way that you feel and the way that you look. And so for me, I love that I'm getting the awards. I love that, I'm getting validation for, 20, 30 years of, I feel like I'm an investigative reporter on this because this is a science that, just never made it to the surface really until we had the power of the internet. And then that's when you can start sharing information. And that's when I started learning more, and that's when I started sharing more. And it turns out, hey, you know what? A lot of people are interested in this. It was never anything I thought would happen. I think it's more just, I wanted to help people. And then when I found out that it had effects on beauty, I was like, well, maybe I can sell that, because you can look at a picture and people say, okay, I want that.
Exactly.
If somebody's in pain and then there's not a very good picture with that. So it really wasn't until way later after I invented it that we actually started to have commercial success. So I've just been one of those entrepreneurs that's along for the ride. It started when I was a kid. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and this is just one more chapter for me, of just being my authentic self, and thank goodness people resonate with that.
But a big inspiration for us women, because you really, you've been doing amazing. And since I met you that time, I think it's about 3 years ago, I mean, I have seen you grow and grow and grow your company and your reach, and helping millions and millions of people. So it's been really amazing to see and to watch your accomplishment. As I said in the beginning, you had this problem with yourself, and that's how you study fascia, anatomy, and all that. So how do you get from there to the Fascia Blaster?
Oh gosh. So I'll try to make that part quick, but I think it's really a mindset. When I watch people like Tesla, or I watch people like Da Vinci, those are the people that I sort of go, wow, they think differently. And I think because of my circumstances growing up, because I had parents that were very traditional medicine, go to your arthritis doctor, get your pills, do your thing. The doctor said this, the doctor said that. So at a very young age, when we're actually developing our thoughts about the world, I felt like I know more than my doctor. He's asking me, how do I feel, So I think the biggest thing that's really made me a success commercially is that I don't even have the wherewithal to see the obstacles. For me, that was never an option. Being crippled was not an option. And so this we'll talk about my age, Cecilia, because I used to read, remember when we would get Sports Illustrated in the mail, or magazines came in the mail?
Yes.
I remember I begged my parents to let me have a Sports Illustrated magazine, and I started looking at what athletes were doing. And they were the first people that really started doing diets and cold baths and those type of things. So I thought, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. So really, 90% of it is belief system. We all know that. I always say, let's cut through the BS. And I don't mean the bad words, I mean the belief system. And if you can break free from that, then really the universe becomes, exponential. So I just learned to manage my pain through exercise, through stretching, and it's funny looking back, I used kitchen tools, Cecilia. I would stick myself with spoons and I wish I had like my mother's collection of rolling pins and all those kind of things, but it was laying the groundwork that our tissue is extremely important. I just didn't know how important. And then after I had my daughter, I had a deadly infection, like it almost killed me, of the bones, and then that set me back. But I feel like that is just part of my journey, my path, and you know, it made me have to mind expand more. So like going from the little girl with the kitchen tools, I went from the adult to the science books to Asia to learn, you know, and then back around to where I was like, okay, I know what I need to do for the tissue, and the invention of the tools, they look silly and they're just so simple, but I think that's kind of why the medical community missed it, because it's not complicated. It's not a drug. It's not a laser. It's not an injection. And trust me, I'm the first one to go put Botox in and all that. I'm not saying anything bad about those things. I'm just saying it's like we hurdled over the easiest thing and ran straight for, you know, the technology, when it really is just so much easier than that. So in a nutshell, that's how it happened.
That's amazing. And then but that's your other tools. No, that was not the first one. The first one was a bigger one that you can do
like this, but longer. Mm-hmm.
But longer.
These are the specials for your people. That's why I have these nearby.
Oh, we have specials today. That sounds great.
Gotta have gifts.
When did you discover that there was something called fascia? Because I understand for the times we spoke that you started like a massaging and trying to stretch and working on yourself and trying to get those scars that you had and all that.
Correct.
For what you learned.
Like release. Yeah, exactly. That's such a beautiful and easy way for people to understand, because fascia is a term that is called 100 other things. Like basically anything that starts with the word fiber, fibrosis, fibrogenesis, when somebody starts talking fiber or collagen fiber, we're really talking about fascia. And we just, as a society, haven't kind of gotten it together yet to get it all under an umbrella and identify it as that. But that's what we're talking about, is these collagen fibers that run like little cobwebs through our muscles. But I had experienced the feeling inside of my body. It's like if anyone out there has ever kind of felt like they have on internal clothes that are just too tight, that feeling of being in a vacuum is our fascia. You know, anyone who's ever had the feeling of being, you know, cold or numb or, you know, range of motion limited, these are all things that relate to that tissue. So I had experienced that and swelling and tight joints, but I didn't actually identify it as fascia until I took a dissection course. And the difference in fascia and all the other tissue is like when we do a dissection, you know, we go in like the old game Operation. Do you remember that game where you just like cut things out and take them out? And that's traditionally how those classes go. But this one, they were going layer by layer like this, and they were intentionally pulling out these long strips of fascia.
That was with a human body, a cadaver?
Yeah, I actually worked with a cadaver, and it was just so amazing. It was the first time I heard the word. It was the first time I saw it. And for me, I was trying to heal my hip. And that was the first time that I realized it was actually connected to my foot and also my shoulder. You know, so it just becomes a mind expanding thing. And I realized that we really are truly all connected. I think you found, knowing your book, that you know, we can't separate the soul from the human. We can't separate our emotions from the human, and we can't separate our fascia at all from the physical body, because it's literally in every single space in our body. So it's crazy to me when somebody says, oh, well, you know, I'm going to have surgery for compartment syndrome because that's where your calf gets really tight, because that's like one piece. It's like your blood. You can't fix one piece of your blood. It's either all or nothing, and that's the way it is with fascia.
So people can understand this is something that runs, and there are different type of fascias, no? That runs from head to toe. That it's covering. It's like a glove, an internal glove that we have in our body.
Correct.
But different also parts.
Think of it more like I tend to explain it like mummy strips, you know? So imagine a human body, and then we have all these long lines of mummy. Some come this way, you know, some go down the back, some crisscross. And that's the structural fascia. Like you said, there are different types of fascia. So that's called structural fascia. Interstructural fascia looks like a cobweb. So I know, since this is a Spanish show, we have a lot of ladies who are good cooks. So when next time that you are messing with ribs or something like that, and you go to pull the meat off of the bone and you see that cobwebbing, that's the interstructural fascia. So for a human being, that means that's running through our muscles. And then we have a straw of fascia around the spine. And then the visceral fascia is kind of, in the South, we'd call it your gizzards, you know, but basically more of that goopy, what we typically find in the belly. It's called visceral fascia. So when you put it all together, it's like it's undeniable how important this system of the body is, not just for cellulite and the way it can distort our scars, but it's actually a part of the endocrine system, Cecilia, which I think is fascinating because I know you ran down the rabbit hole for your amazing book on fasting. But it is the fascia that determines what nutrients we uptake and then what we throw in the trash with our bodies, you know? And then I believe, because I'm a yogi, that it also has to do with our energetic body. So I feel like it's all of these things. And the older I get and the more spiritual I get, the more I kind of get excited about that potential of the energetic body. So it's kind of gone from cellulite to a whole holistic program.
So we understand the process. So once you discover that the fascia exists, and then you develop the tool to be able to work with this, to release it, to smooth it, or
yeah, you know, that's a perfect way to say it, because going back again to the meat, how it kind of looks like hair. We have a funny saying in our group where we say you can't brush your hair with a cucumber, you know, and you can't brush your hair with a laser. You can only brush your hair with a hairbrush. And it's the exact same concept for the body. It's kind of hair-like, and what it needs is that whisking through like this. And I go back to the idea that it's just so simple that it's sometimes hard. You know, you do the presentations at the big medical conferences. You know, I have a published medical study, so I'm invited. And then you can imagine when I show up, you know, with my blonde hair and my Southern accent, and I'm like, here it is. You know, they're expecting something so much more grandiose if you're just looking at what it does. But yeah, you're basically, your body, inside your body, it can become tight and tangled, and even to the point of having, you know, like knots, kind of like dreadlocks inside your body. And so just think about that. If that's your hair, you wouldn't just grab it and start raking through it. You would like slowly whisk it. And that's what I always tell the people at Fascia Blasting. Trust me, Cecilia, when women get it, they go to attack, you know, their leg, they see a dent and they're like, you're going down. But it really does work better, like a little bit at a time, layer by layer is how it works.
So what I always see, watch the video that you send us. I think it's a good demonstration of how you just.
That's just to give you perspective, but once we go in, anything that you see in there that's white is fascia. So the lines going this way, you know, going horizontal, those are your structural fascia. And then the lines going up and down are your interstructural fascia. The other two fascias aren't in your leg. And then you can see as it starts to kind of tangle, that can happen in the fat layer. It can happen in actually just below the skin layer. And then it can happen all the way deep into the muscle fiber. So for instance, just if women are out there thinking, oh, well, I have a huge, you know, dent in my thigh, it's probably pulling into that muscle layer. So that just gives you a visual of, you know, why? Because we all think it's fat. You can be super skinny and still have, you know, distorted skin patterns is what I'm calling it. And you can see, if I can't see it, but you should be able to see the tool just kind of little by little, layer by layer, brushing through that tissue and ultimately restoring it, you know. And we have a great animation, but Cecilia, this has been validated in science and ultrasound, and that's exactly what we see. It looks just like that.
Before we go back, we go to see the pictures. Let's talk a little bit about the. You didn't create this for cellulitis.
No.
You created to help people that were like you in pain and needed help manually.
Exactamente. So, yeah, I was actually trying to help myself first, and I was using versions of the tool. I mean, I think every inventor has some sort of duct tape, broom handle version. So I had that, but I knew that it was working. And so then when I was able to get some manufacturing, I was really using it mainly for myself and then my own personal client base, which Cecilia knows. I've worked with really famous and fun people, which I'm happy to talk about. But they were all men, because athletes tend to be men, like the professional ones that were willing to pay what I was charging. Yes. And so I didn't work with women that much. And I was pretty fit, so I didn't really have terrible cellulite. It just wasn't even on my, as we say, radar. And what happened is one of my professional athletes' wives, who always was coming in during the treatment times, she just picked it up and tried it on her own. And she's a very body aware, beautiful woman. And she texted me a few days later and she goes, Ashley, I think your plastic stick, I'm not even sure if it had a name at that point, got rid of my cellulite. And it was literally one of those moments where you just stop in your tracks and you go, of course, they're the same thing. And, you know, but I just didn't have that focus. But I knew in one instant. And in fact, I went and grabbed it and was like, okay, I'm about to prove this on my own legs, you know. And so, yeah, it was a mistake. It was a happen chance type thing that happened.
Amazing. Because now, I don't know if we took a pic to those pictures. People, a lot of women are using it precisely to get rid of the cellulite. Like a pulling, it's like getting the iron in a way. It's like an iron. It's amazing.
Yeah, we have a tagline where we say, you can't iron your skin, so try this.
So now let's see, because not to get too confused that this is only for cellulite. I understand that still this tool can be used for pain and with great results. And I know even people that have problems with scoliosis and that kind of serious issues have been able to better their bodies with the tool.
Yes, Cecilia, I think, you know, it's hard for people to get their brain around it. I wish I had $1 for every time somebody called me a snake oil salesman, but I really understand that because it's kind of, to me, this is the equivalent of nutrition, right? So if you eat a McDonald's diet, no offense to McDonald's, everybody loves chicken nuggets, whatever you're doing, okay? You don't get the nutrients, and then that can manifest into 100 different diseases, right? So bad fascia can manifest into a whole bunch of problems. I'm just fortunate in terms of being able to convince people to try it, that the cellulite and all that is visible. But it's really more about what is going on below the surface. Because think about, even in the animation you showed, the blood is there, the nerves are there. So imagine if you had a tangle in your blood and nerves, and that's kind of what we're saying. You know, that can... Let's just take blood, for instance, without getting too crazy, but the blood has to get to the skin to nourish the skin. So one of the things that's a big talk in my groups right now is about like turkey neck and crepe skin. And, you know, being an aging woman myself, approaching 50, you know, I feel good about what I can do for my body, but this is the stuff that starts to get scary. So if we just think about blood flow to the skin, and the fascia is in the way, so if you don't have good fascia, you're not getting blood flow, and blood flow is what carries the collagen. You know, you just kind of keep backing it up and you go, oh, wow, blood flow is good for everything. You know, it's good for hair growth. Blood flow is good for, you know, inflammation, you know. So it's, even though the concept is simple, And the result is simple. The result is just mind-blowing. Like when you look at the pictures, you've seen it. I don't post them. These are real women. You know, I happen to have the second largest women's only Facebook group. So you can imagine with 360 whatever thousand women in there, and they're vulnerable and they feel like posting pictures. And even me, I'll go run and chase down my boyfriend and be like, oh my God, look at this one. You know, because it's totally astounding. So if you look at the pictures and you go, no way, just know that I'm the inventor. I've done the science, and I still look at it and go, no way. I want to call her and be like, are you sure you didn't, you know?
So can you tell us what can we do with the Fascia Blaster? What kind of help can we get in the sense of, well, you can tell us everything. Pain or that, because we just saw some pictures that we that you can see a big stomach, and how that's more than cellulitis. That's like fat, you know, it's just like shrinking. And also we saw the neck shrinking. So it looks to me it's like the skin, it kind of shrinks, or what happened there?
Yeah, you're so right. And please, Cecilia, just interrupt me and cut me off. But I think the best thing to do is, you know, about 3 years ago, I said, you know what, no one's ever gotten what we call the white papers, like the science on this. So we wanted to see what it could do. And we also just wanted to confirm that it was all safe and all that good stuff. So one of the things that we found to address the fat is that we measured it in an ultrasound, right? So the distance between the skin to the muscle, that's the fat layer. And we saw in every single case a reduction in the sites that they blasted, which would be like, okay, well, they lost weight, you know, we know what infomercials do, blah, blah, blah. They did not change their diet. And we actually measured their overall percent body fat, and it didn't reduce. Because it's not a weight loss product. It's to actually break up fat at the surface. We don't even know the mechanism. We don't know if the fascia releases and the fat goes out. We don't know if it lyses the fat cell. We don't know, but we also don't care, because any way you cut it, you can spot reduce. And I think for women who, particularly women who obsess over a thing, I like this as an option, because it's not safe to just try to be skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. You know that, Cecilia. We've all been there, where it's like we tried to diet and exercise our way to these things that it's just not going to happen. You know, so for me, this isn't the fat portion. It's an alternative to liposuction or fat freezing or fat melting. You know, and it's cheaper and it's non-invasive and it's safer, and you're actually doing something good for your body. So I love the fat reduction part. Hope that answers the question. But pain is a whole nother thing. So if your viewers are nerds like me and they go Googling origin of pain, if you take it far enough back, you will find that there are researchers all over the world looking to find the genesis of pain. And even Harvard, I have a study, and I can send you guys the links for your viewers, but they basically said that the origin pain comes from tissue damage, which sets off a inflammatory response in the body, and then it starts to send all these signals. And it even said it at the end of the study, and I almost fell out of my chair. It said, we really hope to find the body's mechanism to repair the tissue so that we can cut it off before it starts. And I'm like, that exists. We've already shown tissue remodeling. That is what we're saying, that you brush your tissue and then the tissue becomes more healthy. And then, you know, we saw a reduction in inflammation. So I really feel like the origin, again, going back, like everybody's like, oh, but wait, I have this condition or I have this condition. Okay, that's the name you've given it. But if you rewind, it always goes back to that problems with the tissue, you know, little micro adhesions, really.
Exactly. You just mentioned something like 3 years ago you started doing the studies to see exactly what was going on, because I mean you created the tool, and you knew the results, but you didn't know the mechanisms of what was happening in the body per se.
I don't think anybody did, and I still want to know more, but at least we are a little further ahead. It's the only study of its kind even done. No one's ever done anything like this, and I'll tell you why, Cecilia, because it's expensive. You know, I could have bought a nice little house on the beach. No, I could have bought a mansion on the beach for what the study cost. But you have to do it right, and you have to do the blood, and you have to look inside the body, and you have to, when you hire a lab, like people are always like, oh, but you paid for the study. I didn't pay for the results. I've had them independently reviewed and published, but somebody has to pay for that. You know, so it's a team of scientists, and they're the ones that design it and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that was imperative. And in fact, it's probably to date my thing that I'm the most proud of, because I think that any other scientist could use this as a base study and pick any factor, like the reduction in inflammation. To me, every rheumatologist in the world should be trying to repeat this study for arthritis. And everybody that works with any type of nerve entrapment, they should be taking my study, you know, and running with it and testing it with their Parkinson's people, you know, because at the end of the day, we don't know. We have lots and lots of testimonies and stories and theories, but what we do know is that it completely smooths cellulite, it breaks up fat at the site, it increases your metabolic rate, it decreases your inflammation, and then it has a positive effect on the hormones that we want, like irisin, which is an exercise hormone, and things like that. So for me, that's enough. That's all I need to know. I don't care what problem you have or don't have. I think somebody who's 5-10 years old should start to learn how to blast, because our tissue starts to get thicker and more it's just like if you didn't brush your hair for 50 years. Wow. You know, I believe it starts at birth. That's my opinion. But we have seen ultrasounds of 10-year-olds, and then we've compared them with ultrasounds of the people after they've been through the Fascia Blaster protocols, and they look the same. In fact, they brought the pictures to me, and I had to look, and I was like, which one's the 10-year-old? You know, so that's amazing to think. You know, I hate to use the word reverse aging, because a lot of people throw that around, and it's probably a claim that I can't use. But in my mind, it's like, wow, we are actually kind of turning back the hands of time on these very, very important fibers, or collagen fibers, or whatever, whatever science is calling it these days.
Also, besides, wanted to find out the how about the Fascia Blaster and what was happening in the bodies of people that were using it. You also had a lot of criticism back in the day. I remember. I don't know if that continues, but I remember because I did the investigation before I went to interview you. But I remember most of the criticism was that people get bruises and hematomas and all that. How is that going now?
You know, here's the thing. I think there's legit people that probably go too hard and bruise themselves, and they're not happy. And they also don't understand that bruising is part of the healing process. Even though we educate, we talk about it all the time. My number one blog is called The News on the Bruise, or Jump on the Bruise Cruise. So it's not that I'm not putting the information out there. Cecilia, let's be honest, people don't read. You know, they take it out of the box and they go crazy, and then they're mad, and then they ask the question. You know, so I think some of the criticism is legitimate, and I think that is just, you know, time catching up, you know, because if you're bruised in Asia and you've been cupped all over your back with the big circles, you know, everybody's going to be like, oh, you did cupping, you're bruised like crazy, and it's no big thing. But over here, we're just not used to seeing that, and so I think it has that, you know, shock factor. But for me, the device is a self-use tool, so you can kind of control, you know, if you go too hard, then the next time you just back off a little bit, and we coach you on that. But there's also a whole criticism that I think happens to anyone who challenges the institution, you know, and if they're right, they get, you know, an abnormal amount of, let's just say, propaganda. And I've almost learned, I've learned to accept that as part of my success. I talk to other successful entrepreneurs and inventors, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I've got groups of people that, you know, hate on me, and we're like, yes, we've arrived, you know. So I think once you can kind of weed through the BS, and I actually think this COVID and all this has made people realize that, you know, everything you read on the internet isn't true. And even if there's 3,000 people over here saying something, that can be organized. It can be manipulated. You've been in the news. It all can be manipulated. So I think that's just part of success. And, I welcome it. And if anybody who wanted to criticize wants to do a live feed with me, bring it on. I'll explain it to you. But, you can't really do more than that. Can't control the internet,
And it's part of, as you said, of the success. The success of people always will have haters and people that doesn't want to see you succeed. But the important thing is that the way I see it now is that the results and the people continue using it, and it's that, because if it was something dangerous, it will be over a long time ago. If you could continue.
Yeah, if it were truly dangerous, I would have had 100 personal injury cases and that'd be it, and I'm off to the races. I even read sometimes about how there's lawsuits and all this, and I'm like, well, nobody's told me, so it's just, it's propaganda, and that's okay. I mean, what I would say to the female viewer is I'm actually writing a book. Your whole audience is welcome to join. It's on Facebook called The Writing of the Book. And it's really to help women find their purpose and their passions. And I know, Cecilia, you've recently been through this, why we're here. And then if that can be turned into a product, how to turn it into a product, and then to take it all the way through to, creating your beautiful life. And one of the big sections is getting women ready for the criticism, because it happens, and it's really more about knowing who you are and being secure in what you've learned and what you know, and not questioning yourself. And then all that other stuff just kind of becomes like background noise. I'm much more focused on the millions I can help than the 3 or 4 people.
Exactly.
I hate Ashley party. So.
Yeah, because I mean, if you see how you have expanded and how many other, how have you perfected that big first tool, not the one you made with the duct tape, but the one I had.
Yeah, you got the old school one.
Yeah, and then you did the super one and the what I don't know. You have a lot of tools, and people, because I'm still in your groups, they're also excited, and everybody.
Oh my God, Cecilia, we have one new tool coming out, and I did one post. We had like 30,000 people get on the waiting list for it, So I have to tell you though, when I'm inventing now, I really don't take that much credit, because what'll happen is my viewers will that's how this one got invented, was women were cutting them with saws. I'm like, who knows how to saw? I don't know how to saw. And then people were taking this to their face, and I'm like, no, the flowers are too big. We need a smaller one. So I'm kind of designing to meet the demand of what, my customers want. So it's nice to have, 300,000 people give me their opinion.
So I'm sure that people want to know, how do we use it? Now we know how the results of what we can accomplish, and if you can tell us, how do we use it so we don't mess up our body with it? Yeah. So because it's a self-made, you have to.
There is no way you can mess it up. Let's just say you had a moment, maybe you had 2 bottles of wine and decided to Fascia Blast, okay? And you had it with some cellulite, and you went crazy on yourself, and you were black and blue. You're still going to be okay. The body's natural mechanisms will move out the inflammation. They'll move out the bruising. So, first of all, you cannot hurt yourself, okay? Mm-hmm. We have 2 contraindications to using the product, and that's blood thinners and people who have a history of blood clots. And other than that, everyone else can use it. And the process is, I think the main thing to know is that you need to use it on bare skin with oil, because the mechanism is a light and brisk back and forth movement, just like this. And I'm not saying it's bad if you don't use oil, but it's just not as effective. And it definitely is not going to work over clothes. Although people like the way it feels just for the massage aspect, and they'll see them doing it over their yoga pants. And back in the day, I would have been like, no, don't use it that way. But now it's kind of like, listen, if it feels good, go for it. But if you want the results, the only thing that we can guarantee is to replicate what we did in the study, which was the oil, which is also in the Cecilia kit, and using that with the product on bare skin. So a lot of women just do a few minutes a day in the shower or the bath because, you know, you're already naked.
And that's enough?
Yeah, that's enough. I mean, even in our step-by-step guide, we tell women 5 minutes a day. Just give it 5 minutes a day, because what will happen is if you get started with 5 minutes a day, you're going to be like, oh, I really want to go back for that, or you'll extend it. And rather than listening to me at the perfect way to do it, we're women. We have intuition. We know where we need it. We know where it feels good. We know where it feels messed up, you know? So I would encourage your viewers, if they do end up in Ashley Black freak world, that they that they just take it easy and don't look at this like the quick fix Botox. I mean, we get quick results, but think of it more as just a lifestyle thing. Think of it like someone saying, I'm going to start juicing. Okay. Why would you stop? That's a really good thing for you. So to me, fascia blasting is a lifestyle change. It's just one more thing.
So, yeah. And that's one of the things I've been talking about lately, that it's work, and you have to do the work. And that's the only way you can get results in any area of your life. I mean, it's not only with the Fascia Blaster or the juicing, it's that like brushing your teeth every day.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to do it.
Yeah, we say brush your hair, brush your teeth, brush your fascia. That's your morning routine, you know. So it is. It's a little bit, again, of a belief system. You know, people will tell me that they don't have time, and all that means to me is I don't understand how necessary this is. You know, because anybody can really free up a few minutes a day, you know, particularly to save ourselves, you know, the long-term effects, you know, migraines and all the things that are related to fascia.
Why don't you tell us what can we, you know, what kind of help we can get in the pain department?
I mean, it's hard for me, Cecilia, just because I'm the manufacturer, so I can't come straight forward and say it cures this. But I'll talk about fascia in general. Fascia in general can clamp down and freeze anything. So if you have a joint that is not working very well, or you've been diagnosed with what I call the itis is, you know, tendonitis, arthritis, all of that, most likely the genesis is tight fascia in that joint, right? You know, or if anything that you have relates to blood, then this is something that can be beneficial, because we know for a fact that it flushes temporary blood flow to the site, you know? So to me, it's kind of like, it's always a good thing. And then anything that relates to the nervous system, you know, the nerves are housed in the fascia. So obviously fascia is going to mean, you know, better nerve flow. So I feel like, in fact, I've had to put this presentation together and it's so massive in terms of what it can help. You know, all I would say is just try it. You know, if something hurts, try blasting it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know? And
you can blast the whole body? I mean, like a to feel good, like a stretching exercise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to be honest with you, Cecilia, you know, you brought up a good point that it's work. Right now, if I took my laptop out into the other room, we have a therapist who's using the tools on my boyfriend, and then I get to go next. You know, so
you're lucky, girl.
I know, girl. It's so, my whole town is tourism, so we got really lucky in the vein of, you know, like, oh, massage prices have gone down. So we're taking advantage of it. But, you know, even when I have the ability to have somebody use the tools on me, it's also one of those things that, like, at night, I've noticed, because I'm doing my book and I'm writing more, that I'm starting to get the tension here. So just while I'm watching TV, you know, I'll just pick it up and start using it on my traps, and then, you know, on my head. I feel like it, you know, remember, blood flow is also oxygen flow. That's how it gets there. So it's just good for everything. So my plea to your audience is, don't focus totally on the beauty, and don't focus on the result, and don't worry about how hard or how long or how anything. Just start, because the story tells itself. It's like meditation. You know, I can't tell you that you're going to disappear and just your eyes are going to be there and you're going to reach enlightenment, but just try it. You know, and you'll see. It's experiential learning, not scientific educational learning. So
you're just doing that in the neck. So if you have pain in the neck, it could be also that the fascia is because of the posture that we have in the computer and so many years sitting hours and hours and hours.
Well, not to mention, and then the shoulders being forward, typing, our humpbacks, all of these things. I always tell people, like, this makes perfect sense. You know, everybody's like, oh, my muscles are tight. Well, think about a chicken breast, Cecilia. When you feel the actual meat of the chicken, that's the muscle, right?
I'm vegan.
Oh, you're vegan. Girl, I admire that. I'm pescatarian, so I'm on board with you. So just pretend.
I'm just kidding you. Okay, go ahead. I'm vegan, but I'm just trying to bother you with that explanation. But I know the chicken skin.
I feel like if I evolve just a little more, I'm going to be right there. It's almost like one of those things that I just don't want to give up my hamburger, even though I know that I should. I'm close. I'm super close.
You will.
But when we mess around with meat, because most people don't have access to a cadaver or desire to do that, but meat is always slippery, right? So our muscles are meant to kind of glide like this. It's the fascia, if you've ever messed with it, that gets sticky and sticks to itself. So anytime that we're like, oh, I'm stuck, I'm tight, my posture is changing, it's not the muscles. You know, they glide just fine as long as the fascia is not sticking together like duct tape. So we just have to change the paradigm in our brain a little bit.
Wow. Yeah.
So you're like, I'm gonna go blast and find out.
If you excuse me, please. I'm gonna go get my blaster. Yeah, because I feel like the posture. Yeah, it's a serious problem that we're having right now, mostly in this area, because we're all the time with the head down. Yeah. And I guess the fascia can contract, and with time also there's a part of the hydration that you haven't. I remember you talking about that we need to hydrate ourselves because our fascia needs to get hydrated to drinking water. So I can imagine that with time, as we get older, with this posture and the lack of hydration and all that,
right.
That's what we come, like a little. Let me sit up straight because I'm getting old.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I don't want to get that ugly hump on the back of the neck.
Okay, so you cannot tell me, because you're the manufacturer, about the beauty part, I guess, either.
No, I can. We can go into the beauty. It's just one of those things that, I mean, they do it, Cecilia, to keep people from coming to market and saying, this cures cellulite. And I totally understand why, because it takes a ton of research to be able, even if we did a cure means that it's a one and done, so I don't have a problem like talking around claims, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, we see results with everything. We actually did some science where we were looking at hair growth, and we showed that there were more hairs sprouting out of the same hole, and that there were more holes, So for me, I was a hair extension girl. Remember when we met, I had I had the $5,000 hair extensions, but now I've really put a lot of attention to blast my head so that I don't have to deal with that, So the hair growth, and then anything, again, related to blood, and anything related to blood relates to collagen. And then when we look at necks or anything bunched up, I mean, to me, the neck almost looks like miniature cellulite, right? So all of these beauty issues are things that you can address with the Fascia Blaster. To what extent they're going to work, you have to consider everything else. You have to consider your age. I always tell people, if you're 80 and you have perfect fascia, your skin's still going to sag. We lose the muscle mass. So I always try to set it to be realistic, but it's a new option, and it's fun, and it's, it's safe, and,
Does it help with the wrinkles?
I mean, think about the animation that we showed where it was pulling the skin down. I do believe that if it's kind of like they say, if you do this face long enough, you're going to get a wrinkle. Mm-hmm. But we certainly have seen the skin smooth, in wrinkled areas like 11s and crow's feet and all that kind of stuff. I didn't do the science specific to it, but to me, it translates. If the skin's being pulled weird on your legs, then the skin can be pulled on your face weird. So I think it's really anywhere. I mean, even women are starting to get into like blasting their hands. They always say you can tell a woman's age by her hands, which I think is a really mean thing to say. But now you have an option for your hands besides just the cream.
I also heard that you were kind of putting plastic surgeons out of business. Because women are just solving many problems without the you know.
God, I got so much flack for that, but it was Debbie Matenopoulos, who I love. She's on the Hallmark show, if anybody watches that. And at the very end, she goes, "Oh, I think Ashley's put plastic surgeons out of business." And I'm like, "No, we're friends with the plastic surgeons. In fact, we feel like we help them do their job better because every surgery creates scar tissue, which is just, you know, mangled fascia. So I feel like they go hand in hand if that's the choice that a woman wants to make, you know. And we definitely work with like the botched lipo and things like that, and that makes me really happy. So I'm not trying to put plastic surgeons out of business. I'm trying to work with them so that we can all have like the best of everything. You know, we deserve it.
And if you have your skin and your fascia all, you know, relaxed and calm and ready, I'm sure the surgery is going to have better results.
Yep.
Because your skin is going to be much better and a lot more circulation and blood and all that. So the last question will be, is this also for men?
Of course, but that's a harder, tougher sell. You know, women, we're the ones that buy, and then we grab our husbands and our sons or boyfriends or whatever, and we're like, okay, come here, I'm going to try this on you. You know, and most of the time they're like, I don't have cellulite on my back, you know, and it's just because, you know, when something blows up for a certain reason, I mean, when I say blow up, I mean blow up in lots of sales, it gets sort of boxed into a category. So for me, I don't feel like I'm the cellulite girl. I feel like I'm the fascia scientist, you know, so it's almost funny when people characterize me or the tools that way. But yes, men have exactly the same issues as we do. It just looks different. For instance, if you are somebody that knows a man that their whole entire stomach feels really hard, almost like a pregnancy, that is a visceral fascia tightness. So no, he doesn't have cellulite, but he does have bad fascia, right? You know, and then if men have any, you know, fat pockets or, you know, their range of motion is restricted, they tend to be even tighter than us, then absolutely it's for men. In fact, it was crazy, Cecilia, I was going to take it to retail and I got this like amazing email back from Target and it was like, yes. And I thought, well, that was really enthusiastic. And the man was a buyer for the fitness category and his wife kind of forced him to use it for some back tension and things like that. And so he was all about it. So it was really started with the men and then the women started doing it for beauty and then all hell broke loose with that. You know how we are.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to work its way back into the hands of men and families and couples. We say couples that last. You know, it's a great like bonding issue too, to be able to, you know, help your partner feel better. And we all know, like, if our man's like, give us a massage, well, how long is that going to last? And this is super easy. You just, you know, you can save your hands. Maybe you can save your relationship. I don't know.
So you're talking here, and I'm having so many things that I would like to ask you. We have some questions from the members of my Círculo, el Círculo de Cecilia. I would like to ask you many questions. This is one that is coming to my mind right now because you say something like a person can be in her 80s and she can have a beautiful fascia, but the skin is gonna sag. But at the same time, we saw these pictures of the lady who got rid of the turtle, how do you call it, the neck. It's not turtleneck, it's turtleneck, did you call it? Are you there? Yeah, she's fine.
I'm so sorry, Cecilia. I had a glitch. We're having a little bit of a storm. Sorry about that.
Did you hear my question?
What you said, though, about
okay, good. I was
right?
talking to you about that you said a woman that is in her 80s may have a good fascia, but still she's old. Her skin is gonna sag. It doesn't matter what, because she's gonna lose muscle and all that. But in the meantime, I was remembering the woman, the picture in the woman with the neck. That the tissue seems to have like a shrunk. So can that happen? I mean, like, can we shrunk if we want to get rid of this skin when it gets falling down? The arms that are, sometimes people lose weight. For instance, in my group, in the Círculo de Cecilia, and also the people that follows me in
Cecilia.
you like that, don't you? You love it. It's my circle,
Yeah, that's
my
so
inner
cute.
circle.
I love, we have the Blaster sisters. Yeah.
That's the
I
translation.
love the inner circle. I want to be in it.
Okay,
I'm going to get my Spanish up and going.
we're gonna help you to learn very quick. Believe me, you get there, you're gonna have so many questions, and you're gonna have to answer them in Spanish. The thing is,
we can always do a. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we do. Well, okay, I was asking you something I forgot. Okay, so people in my groups lose a lot of weight because they do the detox, they start eating healthy, they start losing a lot of weight. Some of them complain about the loose skin, no? The stomach or in the arms once they lose the weight. Or here, I was asking you, is that what's called turtleneck or it's
people call it turkey neck.
Turkey neck. That's the animal. Turtle is the thing. Okay. So can the fashion help with those things that people has extra skin and want to get rid of, but I know willing or don't want to have a surgery?
Yes, it's interesting. I know this is not the best way to do it, but we'll send it for your group. Can you guys see that picture?
Oh yeah, we just showed that one.
This is one of my favorites.
Maybe you can show the picture.
Because it's a stomach. But I'll send it to you, Cecilia, if you want to post it in your fan
No, we
page
have
or
it.
whatever.
We have it. We put it earlier. We show it when we're showing the
if you have some, I don't remember if I sent you loose
you
skin,
sent me that one, and you sent me the one with the
the
turkey neck.
Okay, so let's just talk in general about loose skin. So loose skin just means that we have more skin than we have whatever needs to fill it out. You know what I mean? So some people I've even heard, they lose weight and they are like, I would rather be fat than have the loose skin. But at least they're making the connection that either you need more fat or more muscle in general for loose skin, okay? But let's go back to the study and go, okay, so we know that, and you can only have anything work to a certain extent, but I feel like we work to a very, very big extent. So one of the things that we saw in our study was, number one, it breaks up fat. So if your skin is sagging because it's flabby, for sure it helps with that. Then we saw an increase in the blood of collagen production, which is, the building block for tighter skin. So I think that there is an element of tightening, and I think that's probably what's happening in the neck. And in the kit that I'm offering, there's also topicals, because there is good science that you can do some stuff from the outside. So I'm kind of a fan of do it all. You know what I mean? So when I look at somebody who has loose skin, I would say, hey, eat enough so that you can put on muscles, make sure your hormones are good so that you can maintain your muscles. That's a part of it, right? Then you can use the Fascia Blaster for spot fat reduction. You can use the Fascia Blaster for collagen production. Again, we're saying it's in the blood, you're making it. It's not like you're taking it. And then you can hit it from the outside with, your favorite skin tightening creams. And I happen to manufacture one because I thought we, needed to. So I would say that you can have a really, really good result. But if it were like an A to F scale, like if you're an F, you can expect a C, and if you're a C, you can expect an A. But you're not going to go from an F to A. It's just not, realistic. So I try to just educate and say, but why wouldn't you want to be better? And I do get people all the time. This woman that I sent of the stomach, if it can pull up, there's 4 pictures, the one with 4 pictures. She said she was headed for the tummy tuck and decided not to, So, again, I guess it just goes back to what are you looking for? If you want a perfectly flat stomach with absolutely no anything, then maybe your option is liposuction and a full tummy tuck. But if you just want to look better and smooth and curvy and you're okay with that, then maybe that's the option for you. I never ever tell a woman what she should look like. I know for me, I have much more tolerance for my outer body now that I'm mature and have a better inner body, So, you just let go of some of these things as you become more evolved. So I'm fine with the B- body. Let me just say it that way.
But also, not even if you have surgery, if you're an F, you're not going to be an A, immediately. It's not possible, because also your skin, your age, the way the results are never going to be perfect when you are there. also, I think that looking at the stomach of that lady, and you said she was going for a surgery for a tummy tuck, it can give people the opportunity to say, okay, let me see if I can do this first myself and help myself first.
Yep.
And give it a chance. But it is something I would like to ask you. We have some questions and I'm going to ask them very soon. How do you, maybe you hear people saying, yeah, but to get rid of the stomach is going to take me months. It's going to have to be work every day. It's going to have to, first question, people have to go through like a regime of diet, exercise. Do you advise that to get those results? And also, how much people is willing to work and decide, nah, you know what, I'm going to go get the surgery and forget it. I don't have time for this. I don't want to do that. I don't want the work. I don't want to have to do the work. You got the questions?
For me, it's all about education and evolution. At the end of the day, if somebody wants a very, very quick fix, I'd say try it for 30 days and then give then see how you feel about it. But, there's just people that are already set on that. But, this is where I think you have the big girl talk. And the big girl talk is that we really, particularly as we age, we want as few surgeries as possible because, at the end of the day, there's inherent risk. You do create scar tissue. There's long-term effects. And so I'm not saying don't do it, but what I'm saying is be educated about that. And then I guess what I would say in terms of, I think probably just knowing you as a person, Cecilia, and where you're guiding them, it's not about beautiful legs. That's the byproduct. It's about what's going on underneath, so if you're an advocate for plant-based foods, you're an advocate for, collagen teas, you're an advocate for, meditation, and basically anything that is healthy. This is just in the vein of what's healthy, and it's an option that has almost as good and sometimes better than plastic surgery results, and we know that it's actually good for you and not just good looking. So I would say the main thing for me is not to tell anyone what to do or to set an expectation. It's to say, give yourself a chance to try something that you may not have known about before. Because if you didn't know about it, whatever. Exactly. People are always, I wish I would have met you, 10 years ago. And I'm like, I wish I would have met me 10 years ago. But if that didn't happen, then, you can start now and make healthier choices across the board. And hydration is a big part of it. Fascia is a big part of hydration. So what I would say is, ladies, yes, we want to be pretty, but if we focus on health, the beauty tends to come.
Exactly.
It's just true. Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
I honestly feel more beautiful at my age, and I'm about to turn 50, than I did in my 20s, And some of it is that I actually think I look more beautiful, and some of it is just that I've come into my own confidence and my spirit and whatnot. So for me, everybody's like, oh, you're all into this beauty for these women and you're sending them a bad signal. No. What I'm saying is be healthy as long as you can be healthy, and be beautiful as long as you can be beautiful. And hopefully by the time we're 90, we'll have a different expectation of what beauty looks like.
Or 120. I'm blasting.
Blue zone, Cecilia. I'm down here trying to live to 130. So.
Oh, you are in the best place. Blue zone. Do we have to do... I know the answer is better, is yes, but for those results, do you tell people, you recommend as a manufacturer, do you have to accompany this with a diet, exercise, or whatever?
Just in general, the fascia is, it's part of like the detoxification process. Like I said, it kind of comes through without getting too technical, we eat, it goes into our microbiome, then it goes into our blood, our capillaries, our fascia, and then the lymphatic system. So if you're dumping a lot of crap in, then you might do one step forward and one step back with this. Whereas if you have clean diet, healthy biome, good hormone balance, you're not being stressed, and dumping cortisol everywhere and all of that, you're going to have a quicker result. So we always tell people the Fascia Blaster works regardless, but if you want to have the best possible results as part of a healthy, holistic body, is always the way to go.
So the people from the Círculo de Cecilia are going to have great results. Questions. When do you see the results? Leah wants to know.
Okay.
What is in how long you get results or you see results?
So the interesting thing is, I would say instantly. Cecilia, you've used the product before. There's an instant result. So you immediately get the blood flushing, and you can tell that it's working, kind of a thing. But to give you an idea, and the pictures that I sent you that had the ultrasound with them, those were 60 days. So we're not asking women to do this for 5 years. If you do it for 5 years, I've seen the results of 5 years, and those are the ones where you're just like, dang, But in terms of like that initial smoothing, if that's the goal, or an initial fat breaking up session or whatever it is, that's something that can happen in, 30, 60, 90 days if you're consistent.
Wow. And
even for a few minutes a day.
If you stop doing it, then you go back to where you were?
I think kind of yes and no. So again, our fascia reacts to things, you know what I mean? So as we age, it can react to that. As our hormones change, it can react to that. If we're walking around in high heels and it changes our posture, it can react to that. So I wouldn't say that you blast and then you stop for a week and it instantly reverts back. No, it's just going to go back on the timeline that you were already on.
Yeah, it's like everything else, like everything else, I think.
All I have is like reports, from people, but my general term is like, you can't drink water on Monday and then be mad that you're dehydrated by Thursday. It's not a one-time thing. These are cells. This is a cellular level thing that we're doing here, and it's not like you can eat vegetables once and then get the full benefit. So I feel like it goes in that vein. I think you even if you did it and then you stopped, it would slow the process. But I would never recommend somebody stopping. To me, again, it's like brushing your hair or your teeth. It's just
exactly. It's got to continue.
Talking 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, exactly. Only 5 minutes a day. We can do it. And there's one of the members asking very, let's say, subtle, if I have used it. She says, of course, inventors are going to talk wonders about their product. So this question is for Cecilia. Have you tried the tool personally? And can you talk about your personal results? So she's putting me in the spot. What do you think about that? I have the tools. I have to confess, I haven't been that. I have text Ashley say, I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start doing it. Because the thing is that I had the same excuse. I don't have time. But I have to tell you, when I met Ashley and I was there, she gave me a demonstration on my body. And she did. Remember, you were blasting my feet because I had pains in my feet, and it was really amazing because it was very fast. I was with the cameraman and everything, ready to go directly to the airport, so we didn't have time for anything. And another thing I will never forget about this visit with you, Ashley, is that she saw me. And after we start talking after the interview, we're in another, less professional talk. She said to me about my posture. I don't know if you remember this, Ashley, that you told me, let me tell you something. I need you to stand up here and let me look at your posture. And she brought me to a room that had mirrors. And she did some touches, like in my pelvis, in my back. And she said, this is the way that you have to stand. That should be your posture. And since that day, every time I feel like I'm tired, I have something, I remember the trick that you gave me and how important the posture is. So yes, the question, I can tell you, I know and she's a manufacturer, but I'm the journalist here. But this is my podcast, so I can say whatever I want now.
You can say whatever you want.
Exactly. I have used it, and I know this work. And I know also that you have to do the work, because there is no miracle machine. And I have used it as a relaxation thing. I've used it in my back when I had back pain, because when I was writing my book, I was sitting like 50 hours a day, if you can say that. But all the time I was at work full time, 8 hours a day. And when I came home, I will sit, and I had the weekend working and typing and typing and typing. I'm in this position, and I started having serious back pain. I went to the doctor. I had an MRI and all the things. No surgery because I didn't need it, but it was the posture that I had. And then I started using that tool that is long, that you're gonna see as soon as you go to her website. And I start doing in the back, and it feels so good. And it kind of, smooth the skin of the back. And I promise Ashley all the time, I'm gonna start doing it seriously, and you guys are gonna see me. I'm gonna start tonight. But Lisa wants to know.
Like, don't be hard on yourself. We have people that have been following me like faithfully. Like, I see their name on my feeds and everything else. And they're like, I'm gonna start, or I'm gonna start back, or whatever. This is no different than like being more mindful of anything in your life. And there's no right or wrong time to start, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. So I don't even have a problem. And Cecilia is my personal friend. I don't have a problem that she picks it up only when she has a little back tension. That's fine. That's a step in the right direction. Doing what we did with her feet is a step in the right direction. Maybe your legs are not a priority in your life right now. All of that is fine. This is literally just to say you are now empowered to do something a different way if you choose. And a lot of times people will literally keep it in the box until something hurts, and then that becomes the genesis. I think that's a really common story, just like starting a diet tomorrow, and then once you really get into it, it becomes a part of your lifestyle. But even me, I'm the inventor, and I know everything about it, and I'll go a month without doing it. So I think that that's normal, and we just have to have grace with ourselves in general.
Exactly.
We're not always gonna do every single thing that we should. So
yeah, but I think it's worth it to give it a try for a longer time. I remember back then, and just still you think tell people that it's a good idea to get heated, so your fascia gets more flexible and you can work it easier. And for me, the idea that I had to warm up my body and get the heater and all that, and then the fascia and then the flushing, because it was kind of okay, I don't have time for that right now. But now that I'm here, I'm a free agent. I have more time. Say it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the people get super overwhelmed with the process sometimes when they come into the group, because women are buying saunas to do it in, which by the way feels amazing, and then they're talking about flushing and this and this, and we're like, look, that is kind of like if Cecilia said, I like to go on walks. And I'm like, no, we're going to run a marathon, and here's how you train for that. They're just hearing women who really bought in and invested to it being part of the lifestyle, and none of that is necessary. That is why in my official information, I say 5 minutes a day in the shower, and it does sound a little bit like an infomercial, but let me assure your guest, you are more than welcome to join my group and ask the people yourself that, for me, I am literally about to retire. I do not need to sell any more Fascia Blasters. I've moved on to other things. This is just one piece of the Ashley history. So please, I don't want anybody in your audience to feel sold. This is more about education, and you go figure it out. And what I will tell your viewers is that we have 1,000-day guarantee. Okay, so even if you sit it in the closet for a year, we do that because we want people to have a chance to sort of, for lack of a better way to say it, play with it. So it's, we do everything we can to assure our users that, if it's not for you, that's fine. If you don't have time, maybe you repurchase it 3 years
Yeah.
But we make it as easy as possible to get out of it. You know, I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to empower and educate the women about the tools. But, you know, Cecilia and I could have talked about 50 other subjects.
I know, but you know what? I do believe in your product, and I think it's good for the people to know what you're doing, because you, as you said, and I know people is getting it. You are empowering women mostly, and you're empowering them to to care so much about how I look, but how I feel, and how healthy I am, and the things that I'm gonna do to better myself from the inside out. So
100%.
I know what your mission is, and that's why I love you so much, and I feel honored that you're here tonight with us, because I know your message is really very much aligned with mine, and that you're doing amazing work in that tool. And now you have many different types, but that tool can help. And I don't want to take more of your time, and we passed the time that I was supposed to say goodbye.
I would not sell my blasters for $1 million. I would, me personally, because I am somebody who basically came out of the womb in pain, there is not a dollar amount that would make me give it up, because for me, it is one of those, it's just part of my life. I'm not giving up my green juices either, because I know the way those make me feel. I'm not going to stop drinking water. So it's that level of importance for me. But I think you have to use it long enough that you actually experience the effects before you're, you know, that psycho about it.
And when we invite you the next time, give us 30 days. We're going to tell you stories. Andres is saying that he's already using his Fascia Blaster while we're talking about the podcast. Andres, my son, is using it. Okay, so this is the moment of the special that you have for my people. And this is amazing, because when I invited Ashley for this podcast, she said, but I want to give them something. And she had prepared, I don't know, Ashley, you want to say
how
it? I'm sorry?
Yeah, of course. I was going to say one thing I didn't even tell you about. It's my internet. Don't worry about it. I'm glitching. We're storming here. But I wanted to give what we call our celebrity bag. We have lots of celebrities. In fact, the product was posted on Poosh, which is Kourtney Kardashian's website, just this week. But we do send out these really beautiful celebrity bags, and they have all the tools, the oils, the creams, the bells, the whistles, the jacket, and the this and that. So I would love to give away to one of your viewers. So you'll have to figure out how to pick the viewer, but I'm going to send you one free celebrity bag, and you guys can figure out how that works.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the viewers, I really have gone down like almost below cost, and what I was trying to do was pick the tools that you could use over your whole body. And it's really as simple as this. You need something with a small claw tool, and right now this is our best selling because it's for the face. It doesn't mean you can't use it on your chest, your legs, your hands, or whatever, but it's appropriate for the face and the hair and all the great beauty stuff. And then this one is just super easy to hold, and you literally can do it, you know, your arms, your leg. I really promote this one for the stomach. It's just the easiest way to do it. So it has both of those tools. I am out of oil and cream because we're not getting deliveries in Costa Rica, so I don't have it to show you, but we have our own oil and cream that the oil has infused with patented fat burners, which can't go wrong with that, and the cream has skin tighteners, and so that's going to come with the kit. And then I'm also including my book. Cecilia mentioned it's a #1 bestseller. It's really not about cellulite. It's kind of like the Fascia Bible. But what it does for me, it's a quick reference guide. So if you were like, oh no, I bruised, you can look up bruise and go, okay, I'm good. Okay, well, what about, you know, eye muscle exercises? Oh, you know, so it's a really like a quick reference book. And I love it. And I'm so glad it was a bestseller because, you know, I thought, God, nobody's going to read this book. So it comes with the two tools, the oil and cream, the oil and cream, the book, and then we have a new product that you haven't even seen. You were asking, what is this little black thing?
Yes.
And what it is, they are really high gel, high density cold packs. And they actually were designed, again, my customers are always helping me design because they might have, you know, spot bruising and things like that. I want them to not only know that it's normal, but I also want them to know if it's a little tender, they can, they have a new thing that they can put on it. So that's the whole package. It really literally is everything that someone would need to get started. And you'd have to look at the image. I had it made, but it's only $99 for the kit, and it's over 40% off. So
yes,
pending the hurricane in Houston where I ship from, you can get it pretty quickly and get started. But I love that special. I put it just together for Cecilia's group. It's an insiders link, so you won't find it on the website. So we have one lucky lady who gets the celebrity bag, and then the rest of the ladies can get a really nice discount, and it's a great all-encompassing package. So I'm excited to offer that.
That's really amazing, and I thank you so much for doing this for my group. And you know what? Well, we're gonna find out how we're gonna do this giveaway that you've just given us, this celebrity bag, and also this discount is amazing. It's great. And what I would like to do is we're right now with El Círculo de Cecilia live, but this is gonna go public, and we're gonna do it very soon, because this you gave me a code, and that code is gonna last only 1 week. But I want to extend this generosity of yours to everybody that follow me on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube. And when they see, if that's okay with you, when they see this interview with you, they can also order at this discounted price, which is amazing, only $99. And now we're doing the pre-detox. We're preparing for the detox. So this is a very good tool that we can start using.
Oh, what a nice
to help the
That's a really good combination, Cecilia. The detox goes really well with this, because it just helps move all the fluids that are stagnant out. So what a great marriage, those two ideas.
So if guys are interested, we're going to put the code that Ashley gave me in the comments, and then we're going to put it in the description when this video goes out to YouTube and to the platforms of podcasts. And Ashley, if you can tell us where can we find you, your social media, how people can find you, and we let you go. Thank you.
So there's a couple of places that you can find me. My new passion project is kind of like you. I'm just trying to help women in general and in business, and that's called The Writing of the Book, and that's on Facebook. And then Ashley Black Guru, ASHLEY BLACK GURU, Guru, is where you can find me on all the other social medias. The private group is Fascia Blasters for Women, and we actually even have Fascia Blasters and Espanol. So if it's all Spanish speaking, we actually have a group for that. So I'll send you all of those links, and you can drop them in the comments or however you manage your social, and then I'm going to share it on my site. So I invite all the ladies, to come and follow, and for sure you should be super skeptical, but if you join and you see what's happening, I think all that's going to change. And I have to tell you, Cecilia, in terms of haters and like mean girls, I keep them out. I manage my groups like you would not believe. So you can come in, you can be vulnerable, you can be loved. We're a more mature group. Most of the ladies are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, so it's just a positive environment. And right now we need that, we need that support and love, and to be lifting each other up. So I invite you, even if you don't want to blast, come for that reason.
Well, they're thanking you in the comments, and I want to thank you for your time, because Ashley, I know you're a very busy woman, even though you are in nice Costa Rica, but I know you're working a lot, and you can stop. And this time for us, is amazing.
You can have me anytime, darling. I said you can have me anytime. I'll always make time for you. You are not only an amazing reporter, I love the way that you think. I love what you're doing with your ladies. So I am on board with the Circle of Cecilia.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And in the name of everybody that is listening, thank you for the opportunity. And we will let you know who is the lucky winner of your celebrity bag. And I'm going to start blasting tonight. No, not tonight. I'm going to lie to you. Tomorrow, because it's already like 9 o'clock here. But tomorrow in the shower, 5 minutes a day, this is it. And also, you have a lot of information in your website. people can go there and you have
It's
a lot
so
of
easy.
tutorials
Ashley Black Guru again. You don't have to remember much. Ashley Black Guru everything. Just type it in and probably my website will come up. But yeah, it has tutorials by body part. You know, my TED Talk is right there. Like, it's really, really easy to find information about me. So I invite you. Bienvenidos.
Thank you. And you want to say something in Spanish? To say goodbye in Spanish, maybe?
No, Cecilia, you know how hard that is.
Well, we suffer here in English. It's time for you to suffer.
Español, escuela. Estoy entiendo. Es muy importante para mí, Cecilia, pero es muy difícil. So don't put me on the spot.
Wow, you're sounding good. Good. All right. Well, thank you. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time, for inspiration, for bringing all this amazing information, and for empowering women the right way, the best way. I love you and take care with that. That's all over there.
I love you so much, Pura Cecilia. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye. And to you, my friend, thank you so much for your time, for being with us. I know you must love now Ashley because she's amazing. And thank you for being patient with my English and my people that doesn't speak English, but you know, we're gonna put the translation directly in the YouTube video, okay? And if you are interested to become part of the Círculo de Cecilia that we're talking about so much, you have to go to elcirculodececilia.com and become a member. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, to my YouTube channel, and follow me on my social media. Gracias por haber estado conmigo. Como siempre, les mando un gran saludo. Les digo que si me dejan sus comentarios acá, con mucho gusto los vamos a responder. Van a tener la información acerca de cómo conseguir este regalo, este kit que nos acaba de dar con un tremendo descuento Ashley Black. Y muchísimas gracias por todo. Hasta el próximo video. Y si quieren ser parte del Círculo de Cecilia, váyanse al circulodececilia.com. Chao.